How did you feel when you got it? Were you shocked or were you just like, finally?
So this particular nomination also places the NMK and Kenya as a country on the world map because, Kenya has been Christian, the home of human origins.
Welcome to the very first episode of Science KE podcast, where we break down science, research, and cool discoveries with the people behind them. I'm your host, Lillian, and today we are starting with a bang. We are starting with the brilliant mind behind groundbreaking fossil discoveries, the Director of Antiquities, Site and Monuments of the National Museums of Kenya, the Founding Director of the West Turkana Paleo Project, a scientist with tens of published studies on human evolution, the amazing, the brilliant, the man, the myth, the legend, Professor Fredrick Manthi. Karibu sana, Dr. Manthi.
Thank you.
So, first of all, congratulations on the nomination at the US National Academy of Sciences. If I might ask you, how did you feel when you got it? Were you shocked or were you just like, finally?
Yeah, to be honest with you, first of all, thank you so much for hosting this wonderful conversation. When I received the news of my nomination to the Academy, to be honest with you, I was very surprised. Not really shocked, but very surprised that some people somewhere out there thought about me and were able to recognize my research. Many of the times that we do things and we have no idea that people out there are seeing what you're doing and the good work that you're doing. Yeah, so to me it was a big surprise and a big honor to me, but not just to me alone, but a big honor to the National Museums of Kenya and a big honor to Kenya as a country, because I'm a Kenyan and I'm proudly so. Very proud Kenyan. So to me, it was a wonderful moment for me when I received that phone call, where my nomination was announced from the US. I was at around 8 p.m. Last year in April, and it was a really a wonderful night for me to receive that phone call where they made the announcement that I've been elected into the US National Academy of Sciences. Yeah, so to me, I think I would say it's a clear demonstration that if you really work hard and you just do your work well, there are people out there who are seeing what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. I will be asking you questions that are personal, and then about these awards, and probably just generally about your work. So for someone who's never heard about you, how would you describe yourself, Professor?
That's a very good question. Who am I? Generally, I'm a very humble person. I just want to do my work. I'm also, I would say, also very focused. So I'm a Kenyan paleontologist. Work in the Turkana Basin. I've been working for quite some time. I worked at the NMK for a very long time. I don't want to begin mentioning the number of years, but I've been here for quite some time. Yeah. So, and I've grown at the NMK very proudly. So, and I'm very happy that even this nomination to me is not just for me alone. It's for the NMK, the institution that has really grown me over the years, and that I'm very proud of.
Okay. When did you first fall in love with science and fossils?
Interestingly, my dad many years ago worked with the late Meridiki, and those many years back, my dad used to bring to me books on prehistory and paleosciences. So at a very early age, I began to develop some really very special passion and really like for paleosciences. So by the time I was in high school, I knew that probably I'll be a paleontologist or an archaeologist at that early age, because of the books that I read that my dad used to bring to me when he worked with Mary Leakey at Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania.
Okay. So you've said you've worked here for a while. What keeps you excited about this work after all those years?
The NMK being the institution that we are, that's really doing some groundbreaking research. I think for me, every other day that I wake up to come to the NMK, there's always some excitement in me that you never know how the day will end. Mm-hmm. It's like when we go out in the field, like in like Turkana, and we're looking for fossils. You have no idea when you wake up in the morning that day may be a totally different day in terms of the fossil discoveries that you'll be making. So the NMK is this place that mm-hmm. we come with so many scientists doing different things. We come and we engage one another in different conversations, and we always learn from one another. I'm not a botanist, but whenever I engage with my colleagues from botany, there's always something that I learn from them. Whenever I engage my colleagues from invertebrate zoology, there's always something that I learn all the time from them, and we learn from one another. So the NMK really provides a very conducive environment for us to learn from one another, to share experiences, to share knowledge, and to think and dream big on how we can do research better than we are doing right now. So it's really a place where we engage one another in a very good way, and where we grow every single day. Whenever I engage, like I said, with my colleagues from other departments, I always learn something, and the NMK has given us that very special environment where we learn all the time, and where we engage with different, not just Kenyan colleagues, but also colleagues from all over the world. Mm-hmm. The NMK being such an international institution, we draw colleagues from all over the world, and we learn all the time. We grow all the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the NMK really is a great place to be, and for me, there's no other better place to be than NMK.
Okay. So I want to ask you about the nomination. What does this award of U.S. National Academy of Sciences mean to you personally, and what does it mean to the museum, and maybe by extension, Kenya and Africa?
I think for me, I think to my knowledge, I think I'm probably the second Kenyan to be elected into the U.S. National Academy of Sciences. To my knowledge, the first one is Professor Mary Leakey.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a clear demonstration, like I said earlier on, that Kenyans have come of age in terms of research. Mm-hmm. We are doing cutting edge research. We're being recognized globally from the wonderful work that we are doing, and the NMK continues to play a key role in that research. In my case, in paleosciences, and again, also this particular nomination also places the NMK and Kenya as a country mm-hmm. On the world map, because Kenya has been Christian, the home of human origins. I mean, based maybe from a wonderful fossil records that we have in this country, some of the most complete human ancestry, record of human ancestry. Yeah, so in a way, this particular nomination or election to the academy reaffirms Kenya's position as the home of human origin, because this is really where it all began, and we are doing some wonderful research that helps us understand that key aspect of our existence as a species. Yeah, so for us as Kenyan, I think we should really be all very, very proud of, and I would like to dedicate this particular nomination not just to myself, but to Kenya.
What specific work do you think led to this nomination?
I think in fact, when the nomination was announced to me, I asked myself the same question. Mm-hmm. What really influenced the academy to nominate me for this, or elect me into the academy? And I was told that the academy looks at different aspects, not just the research. They look at the research, mm-hmm. but they also look at what you've done to promote research.
Okay.
What you've done to mentor other young scholars. So they don't just look at the research per se, like how many publications have you published, mm-hmm. conferences that you attended. But they also look at really the role that you've played in promoting research in your space where you occupy. So I was told that they look at the publications, yes, the research, the findings, but they also look at the efforts that you've put in place to promote that same research with others, and how you also relate with other colleagues across the world, and also the role that you've played in mentoring young Africans, because you have to pass this baton to a younger person when you kind of begin to exit. Yeah, so they also look at the role that you're playing in mentoring young Kenyans or young Africans or young scholars, if you like.
Okay. Do you think this opens more doors for African researchers in the global science space?
I think it does. It does. It does, especially in the global south. For a long time, like I said earlier, and like we all know that this election into the academy doesn't just happen to Africans any other day. Yeah. So to me, it's a big encouragement to upcoming researchers, especially that if Manthi made it, they can also make it. And for us, the journey has been much longer than for others. Yeah, because we began really, really way down there. But a lot of the younger Kenyan researchers, I think things are not really as hard as things were when we were beginning. Yeah, so it's really a clear demonstration that from where they are right now, they can even make it even much sooner than I did, because some of us we had to walk along a journey, largely because of different scenarios and different factors. Yeah, so for the younger Kenyans and the young African scholars, I think it's a clear indication that if you really work hard and you're focused, you support research, you support even programs, you mentor younger scholars, and you just get focused and you promote research and you support research, then there's no reason why one cannot really get elected into the academy.
So you said there have been 2 people that have been selected in Kenya?
To my knowledge, there's Professor Mivliki and myself. Okay. To my knowledge, like I said.
Does that mean in any way that science is lagging behind in Kenya?
Not really lagging behind, because this is U.S. National Academy of Sciences. It's not really an academy in Kenya. So they look at like the global village, if you like. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that we're lagging behind. I think I must really say that we are doing very well as a nation, as Kenya. We're doing pretty well in research, and especially in our area, paleosciences. For a long time, this was a preserve of largely our colleagues from the Western world. But I would say in the last 20 years or so, we've seen the number of Kenyan researchers really growing up tremendously. Yeah, so there's room for even more nominations in the future, because the number of Kenyan researchers is really growing up really in a big way. Yeah, so I'm very positive that probably in the next 10 years or so, there's no reason why we can't have another Kenyan elected into the academy, because the numbers are growing. Yeah.
Now I want to ask you about your work. So what is the most exciting fossil you've discovered personally?
The many fossils that discovered, but I want to mention one particular fossil that I discovered in the year 2000 when I was working with Mivliki these days back, and it's a fossil. It's another human ancestor that dates to around 1.5 million years ago, and it's a cranium. And to me, that was wonderful discovery, and an early human ancestor that we discovered, and that plus other fossils that were discovered about the same time changed the way we thought about human evolution. For a long time, we thought that human evolution was more of a straight line, but that particular fossil, Homo erectus, with another one that dates to around 1.44, that belonged to Homo habilis, showed that the two fossils coexisted. So that particular fossil was really one fossil that I always remember that day very vividly. The way I discovered that fossil, and the way it kind of really began to change our thoughts about human evolution. It's not one straight line, but really one situation whereby different species would have coexisted around the same time. And we here in this particular case, we see Homo erectus and Homo habilis coexisting at the same time. And there are many other fossils. There's one particular fossil. It's an extinct kudu that I discovered many years ago, and it was named after me, Tragelaphus chelloe, my middle name. I have a fossil named after me, Tragelaphus chelloe, and my middle name is Cello, so it was named after me. So that was also another very good, really feeling when I discovered that particular fossil.
Okay. How is it like there in Turkana? Like, take us behind the scene.
It's very interesting. In Turkana, obviously, it's not like Nairobi in terms of the environment. I mean, there are a lot of, like different rocks, and especially in our case, the one that interests us most are the seminal rocks, and these are the rocks where we find fossils. We know fossils occur in sedimentary rocks or sediments. So Turkana has tons and tons of these kind of rocks and exposures, and we go out there every single morning whenever we're out in the field, and we are really very expectant and very positive that at the end of the day we'll have made some wonderful discoveries. Yeah, so a typical morning, we just wake up in the morning, take breakfast, we go out there looking for fossils, and we find fossils. Other times we're not very lucky, you don't find fossils, or you find some not very good fossils, but you know, it's not really like given that every single day you'll find some wonderful fossils. Yeah, because they're not just there waiting for you. You go find them.
Yeah.
But we got some wonderful teams that really help us find some wonderful fossils.
So how do you even know what you find is important?
We do know, because obviously we know, for example, we know we are primates, we know we are humans, we know that human fossils are very, very precious, because they're also very rare in the fossil record. Rarely do you find human fossils, because humans were not that many those millions of years ago. We know like the antelopes, what we call the bovids. The bovids are very widespread, the antelopes. If you go to the Mara ecosystem, you'll find tons and tons of bovids. Bovids are like the buffaloes, the gazelles. Those fall under one family known as bovidae, or bovids, or bovidae, if you like. So those are very, very abundant, even in the fossil record. Humans were very, very scarce, or the numbers were very, very small. So we know when you find a human fossil, definitely that's a big treasure. When you find the close cousins of humans, like for example the apes, those are also treasures. When you find other members of the order of primates include humans, the apes, and the so-called monkeys. Yeah, so those are, we classify them in that kind of order. Humans are the top. Those are like the most precious and the rarest to find. Then the apes and the monkeys, like, yeah. So other taxa, like say the bovids and the rhinos, the hippos, they're very, very important because they tell us a story. They're part of the ecosystem, but they are more abundant in the fossil record than, say, the primates.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the hardest part about doing scientific research?
A very good question. Yeah, we first of all, we are very lucky as Kenyans that we have some wonderful. I mean, like in my case, being a paleontologist, we've got some wonderful sites across the country. So that makes it easier because we don't really have to work so hard to look for sites. We have tons and tons of sites all over the country. But the hardest bit is we compete for resources. Most of our research funds come from organizations based in the US or the global north, if you like. So we compete for funds with many other people from all over the world. So research funds, it's a big issue. Rarely do we have enough resources to carry on the kind of work that we want to out there, because we don't really have a lot of resources. Yes, and I know the Kenyan government is, I mean, the government is doing whatever they can, really as much as they can, to support research, support the NMK undertake our mandate. But one of the biggest challenges that we face as Kenyans is really inadequate resources, financial resources, for us to be able to undertake the kind of work that we want to do all the time.
Okay. What role can museum play in making science more accessible and cool?
Good question. Obviously, engaging the public much more, coming up with different programs that will help us disseminate information on science, having different workshops, science expos, and I know the NMK is planning for a science expo this year. So I'm here to also welcome the Kenyans to our science expo, which should happen in a few months' time. Yeah, so for me, NMK is doing a great job in trying to disseminate information about science and in trying to engage the young people. In paleontology, we have the prehistory club, and through the club we'll be going to many schools across the country, encouraging young Kenyans to take up careers in paleo sciences. And our education department is doing a lot in engaging young Kenyans and really engaging different groups across the country in an attempt to share our scientific discoveries and findings, and also the information that we cannot really gather from our wonderful work that we're doing across the country. Yeah, so we have different programs, exhibitions, workshops, science expos, scientific conference, and many other forums. We get invited for public lectures by different groups. The Kenya Museum Society and other people also ask us to go and give talks. Yeah, so we do that through different ways.
You feel we're doing enough?
What's that?
We are doing enough.
We were doing enough, but obviously we can do much more. We had a lot of resources. If we had more resources, we can have different programs. We can have different like really rotating exhibitions, moving from one part of the country to the other. But all that requires resources. Yeah, so with more resources, for sure we can do more programs, or more public programs. Okay.
You talked about mentoring. I want to believe we've mentored a lot of people. Why is this important for you?
It is important for not just for me, but for all of us, because none of us will be there forever. We need to kind of really make the next months, if you like, the next generations of researchers who are will be able to hand over the baton to them. So for me, I think as I sit here, I feel comfortable that when my time to exit comes, I feel that there are people behind me who carry on the good work that we are doing right now, young people. Yeah, so that's really why it's very important to mentor young Kenyans, young Africans, young researchers who kind of really carry on the work that we are doing. And this is very critical to any nation, any country, any government.
When you look back, what legacy do you hope to leave in science?
To be honest with you, I have a dream, and my dream is to lay a foundation, which I think we've already begun to work on, a foundation that will enable Kenyans who come behind us appreciate that the good work that we've done, and find some infrastructure, and align that infrastructure that will enable them undertake cutting-edge research. I know right now there are a lot of things would have wanted to do, even myself. I know right now there are different aspects of research like micro CT scanning. There are things that we can do better in that. If this institution would have a micro CT scanner, for example, whereby we can micro CT scan our fossils and understand the microstructure, the inside structure of our bones, and understand really how that would have shaped different aspects of evolution. To me, that would be a wonderful legacy. So I'm dreaming. My dream is for us, for NMK to be able to establish some infrastructure that will enable cutting-edge research, and we don't have to export our fossils, for example, to overseas for some very specialized analysis. If we can do that in Kenya, if I can be a player in making that happen, to me that would be a wonderful legacy that I'll be very proud of.
So now we go a bit more personal. If you weren't a scientist, what would you be doing?
I think of anything else that I'll be doing. I think once a scientist, I don't think I can think of anything else, because I've always known science. So I want to imagine what I'll be doing out there if I was, because I've always dreamed to be a scientist.
Okay. Is there a specific site that you've never visited but you hope to explore someday?
I would love to. There's some sites in Spain where they found these wonderful fossils. I think it's called Atapuerca. I would really love to visit that site in Spain, and I think that's one of the sites that I'm hopeful that someday I'll get a chance to visit and just see. Kind of experience and get involved in some excavation in those sites in Spain.
What's so special about it?
Because they're just interesting sites. They've some wonderful fossils, and they are.
Okay.
And I've read so many publications from really from different colleagues who are working there, and I would love to visit those sites. And in Africa, I would love to visit sites such as Ada in Ethiopia, and in Kenya. I've been very, 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 really privileged to have worked or visited many of the sites in the country. So I think I'm very well versed with Kenyan sites.
Okay. The young man, you said you've always wanted to be a scientist. You never wanted to be a doctor. Okay.
No,
a medical
not a medical doctor. I don't think I can really make it personally. I don't think I can deal with seeing sick people. I think I get very sympathetic when I see people suffering. Yeah, so I don't think I would have really made it that far. Probably a lot of people would die in my hands, because I would just become very sympathetic as opposed to treating them. So yeah, so I don't think I want to be in that space.
Okay.
Yes.
Fossils aside, and I know you work a lot, but when you're not working, what are you doing?
I read quite a bit. I read and engage with colleagues, and I also think, in terms of really what else can I do aside from research, and I spend time with family as much as I can. Travel when I can. I like also traveling and kind of really going to new places and really learning new things, and especially being able to understand how different. I'm also very, very curious to understand really the history of different nations. I get really carried away when I begin to learn about, say, the different empires in Europe, the Roman empires, and whenever I get a chance to speak to colleagues from that part of the world, like Finland, Sweden, Norway, they always get excited when I ask them questions about how did Finland come into being. Those are the things that really make me really and general knowledge, trying to understand how different nations came into being.
Okay. Have you ever found a fossil and you got excited about it, and then you realize it was maybe, say, a rock?
Yeah, many other times when I began as a young paleontologist, there are many times I got disappointed. The many times I got my seniors disappointed because I find something and I call them and without the excitement, and they just come to me and tell me, oh my God, it's not a good one. Yeah, so and those are things that happen all the time, especially when you're growing up. Yeah, because when you're growing up, you go out in the field in Turkana or elsewhere, you find things and things just look the same. Yeah, but over time, you kind of really gain a lot of experience, and you're able to tell above it from a rhino or a hippo from a rhino, and things become easier. But at the beginning, when you just begin, there are things that you you've no idea what they are, and you've made mistakes all the time. But that's typical of any career when you're growing up, when you're beginning.
Okay. So what would you want to tell like young people, maybe like students that would want to do what you do?
I would love to. I would really like to encourage young Kenyans and young Africans, because I think I'm not just being biased to Kenyans. Young Africans, that there are wonderful careers in paleontology or what we call paleosciences. Wonderful careers. I mean, like geology, paleontology, archaeology. You can even be a science writer. There are wonderful careers in this part of the space, the ecosystem that we occupy. So I would like to encourage young Africans to consider taking up careers in paleosciences, and that's why I've been going to schools across the country, encouraging young Kenyans to consider taking up careers in paleosciences. And to me, I don't think if I was given another chance to choose a career, I think I still choose paleontology. Yeah. So for me, I would like to encourage many more Kenyans, and I look forward to a time when I'm not sure this will happen sooner, especially now with the change of curriculum. But you've seen many other times when the Form 4 results are announced, and those students will do very well. They're asked, what would you want to become, or which career would you want to take up? You hear some of them saying, I would like to be a medical doctor, I'd like to be a lawyer, I'd like to be a pilot. For me, I look forward to that time when I would hear some of them say, I would like to be a paleontologist. I look forward to that time. I'd like to be an archaeologist. I'd like to be a geologist. I really look forward to that moment. And I hope it happens sooner.
Yeah. I feel like people might not know so much about that. Like those
and
kind
that's
of
why
careers.
that's why as NMK we are really doing our best to educate Kenyans, especially the young people, about these different areas of research and disciplines and different programs that are available to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd tell young Manthi, maybe 25-year-old Manthi, if that meet him? You will make
you've
it.
you've done well. Keep really pushing things. Keep working hard.
Yeah.
And the sky is not the limit.
Okay.
You are the limit.
Thank you so much. I want to start a cut tradition where you write something for the next guest that I will have. And you won't know who it is, but once they come, you can write for them a question or an advice in this book. I'm done with the interview. So basically,
But before you could do that, you could finish the interview. I think I got a parting shot to Kenyans.
Okay.
I think as Kenyans, we ought to be very proud of our nation. Could be very, very proud of our heritage. I would say we have one of the most unique heritage world over in terms of our natural heritage, like prehistoric heritage.
Yeah.
Cultural heritage. We've got really, really a wonderful heritage in this country, and all of us have a role in protecting and conserving that heritage. So I'd like to call upon all Kenyans in your own little space. You've got a role to play, protect that heritage.
Yeah.
At your homestead, near your home area. Let's protect that heritage for posterity. Finally,
yes,
come to the NMK and learn the wonderful programs that we run at the NMK. There are some wonderful programs, and we'd like to have more Kenyans really appreciate really what we are doing. And finally, again, to all our visitors into this country, welcome back home to Kenya, the home of human origins. We all have our ancestry in this country. Kenya is the birthplace of humanity. Karibu nyumbani. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor.
I think I can go.
Yeah, you want to write something for me?
What was it?
Anything, like an advice or a question for the next person, randomly too, because you don't know who they are. That was Professor Fredrick Manthi, a man writing our understanding of human of human history. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate this.
Thank
Asante
you.
sana.
Thank you so much. Yeah.